Hi, Prepare 7. Um, what I want to talk about this week are problems. Not my problems, not specifically your problems, but global problems. Problems that affect everybody, no matter where we are in the world and what we're doing. Okay, so what problems might be global scale problems? Maybe if there was a global viral pandemic, that would be a global problem. And that's the sort of problem that would affect the whole world. There's also more it's okay. There's also more traditional ones, like global warming. Global warming is a problem that affects you wherever you are in the world. Okay, what I want you to do is take a second, pause the video, and have a think. Try and come up with 5 things that you think are the biggest problems facing the world today. I wonder what you came up with. Did any of you mention single-use plastics? Did any of you mention youth unemployment? Or lack of access to clean drinking water? Or toilet facilities, even, in some parts of the world? Okay, I don't know what you came up with. If you really want to, you can send me a message, hit me up on Instagram or Messenger, or email me. But there'll be more work to send in before the end of this. So, there are big global issues. There are ways we can deal with these global issues, things we can do to make the world better. If you look at page 86 in your student's book, it's unit 15, and it's called The Bigger Picture. On page 86, you've got sentence halves, first half and second half of the sentences, okay? You know what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to match the first half of the sentence with the second half of the sentence. Classic. But let's just have a little look through the bold words, the big bold, I'm going to say burgundy words? Brown words, the big bold words, the key vocabulary in that section. So, these are all verbs. Cooperating, collected, banned, criticised, support, elected. What you'll find is down in exercise 3, you have a little purple box with other vocabulary. These are the same words. The difference is these words aren't verbs anymore. These words have become nouns. It's a key skill and part of your use of English test to be able to change words from verbs to nouns to adjectives and back again. A ban is something you have when you have banned something. A collection is something you have when you have collected something. Cooperation is something you have when you have cooperated. Criticism is something you get when you have criticized. An election is an election. An election is where you elect people. Great. And a supporter is someone who gives their support, who supports somebody or something. So you could be a supporter of a cause and you could actively support it by donating money, raising awareness, or volunteering some of your time or effort in order to help with that global problem. Okay, pause the video, match the sentences across, and put those nouns into the gaps in exercise 3. Okay, pause the video now, have a go at that. Okay, I hope that went well. I'm just going to put the answers up. I'm going to flash them up for a second here. Here we go. Here are the answers. If you need to, you can pause this video to make the answers last longer so you can check them. I'm just going to hold them here for a little bit longer. And there we go. Okay, now, as young people, which you guys still are, I once was, you can sometimes feel that there's not much you can do about these big global problems. Is there anything you can do to really affect climate change, to really change the economic situation for young people, to really change the way that we use things like fossil fuels? Are there any ways where you, as young people, get to have your say? Well, we've got a reading activity on page 87, and this is reading about an initiative they have in the UK called the United Kingdom Youth Parliament. The Parliament in Westminster in London decides lots of things, and they have a youth equivalent where young people get to come, they get to debate issues, they even get to sit in the big green chamber that you sometimes see on TV if you watch the very boring parts of the news. And they get to discuss and have their say on issues that matter nationally and internationally. So this will be really interesting to look at. What I want you to have a look at as you read through is really think about some of those key ideas that are displayed. General ideas, global ideas. There are three main questions on exercise 1 on page 86. They are, what do you think the interview will be about? What do you think MYP and UKYP could mean? And do you think this young person enjoyed her experience in youth politics? We've also, at exercise 2, got 3 different summaries for what could be the content, the meaning, the purpose, the point of the interview and the article that's written from it. They are, number 1, Charity talks about her personal experiences and gives a few examples of specific projects she's worked on. Charity mentions some of the things she achieved as an MYP and gives advice to readers who may wish to be elected as MYPs, not MVPs. Charity describes the range of people you are likely to meet as an MYP and how to handle them. Right, keep those general questions in your mind. Pause the video, have a read through the article, and just think, what do you think those answers are going to be? What do you think MYPs are? And what do you think the main point of the whole article is? Okay, what's the takeaway? Pause the video, have a read through, and we'll be back in a minute. Good job. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a great opportunity, the United Kingdom Youth Parliament, for young people really to get their views heard, to have their say, and to make an impact in the discourse around the conversation around some really important issues. Is there a similar sort of thing? Do we have a Behar YP or something like that? Is there a youth council in Mostard? For those who might be interested in sharing their views and debating issues with other young people. Today, more than ever, it's really important that we can tell the difference between the truth and what is not the truth. The truth and all the other ideas that people have that float around on the internet. I've heard so many things about the current situation that we're going through at the moment, and I've seen so many fake stories. It's absolutely hilarious. There's good advice, there's good information, and then there's also kind of, it might be true, it might not be information. It's come from a good news source, but it's not direct information from people like the WHO or an official expert, doctors advice, but it's come from like a good news source, so it could be true. And then there's stuff that certain people might have found when scrolling through their Facebook feeds, and it's clearly clickbait, and we know that's not really going to be true. So it's very important that we can use modals of deduction. Haha, see, that was a grammar segue that I did so skillfully there. Thank you. Second cough. Okay. What we're doing here is we're looking at modal verbs. As you remember, modal verbs are a special type of verb. They are modal auxiliary verbs. Because they're verbs, they are able to hold the tense, the positive, the negative, the past, the present, the future of the sentence. Because they are auxiliary verbs, they will take priority over a normal verb, a regular verb, in terms of who gets to show the one time in the sentence we're going to say what time it is and whether or not it's positive or negative. Because they are a modal auxiliary verb, they get absolute highest priority. They get first pickings as to who is going to be able to show the tense in the sentence, okay? And the positivity and the negativity. So they get first pickings when it comes to grammar and when it comes to showing time, positivity and negativity. Let's have a look at the examples we've got on page 88. These are the specific modals of deduction we need to look at today. These will be very important when you start writing argument pieces as well, and in speaking activities where you have to come to conclusions, discuss possibilities, that sort of thing. So let's make sure we've used them. Let's make sure we've used them well. So for something we are certain about, we use the word must. It must be true. It's perfect information from a reliable source. It makes logical and scientific sense. It must be true. There are also things that we are certain are not true. Can't or couldn't. You couldn't have been doing your homework last night. You were with me playing video games. No possibility. You can't be concentrating fully on your English lesson on YouTube because you are also watching television and listening to music and doing your school homework at the same time. You know who you are. There are things that are likely, and we could use could, may, or might. Might for that. Could, may, or might. May, more formal than could. Could, of course, nicer than can, but we can't really use can. It's a bit naff. Things that are unlikely, we can say may not or might not. It might not be true, but I heard. It may not be possible, but I've also seen online that someone did a thing. Okay, so we think they're unlikely. At the bottom of page 88, there's exercise 3. Exercise 3 is an either-or type activity. So go through that set of sentences and think, which of the modals of deduction is most appropriate in that sentence? Have a look through, pause the video, choose either or, and then we'll come back and have a look at the answers. Okay, good job. The answers are here. Do the pause thing again if you want. Once you check the answers, I'll give you a minute to check the answers. Okay, that's enough time for that. Finally today, I want to talk about one of your favourite topics and mine. Essays. Yay, essays. Now, we all know our essays are going to be marked on 4 things. they're going to be marked like all the rest of our writing on content, organisation, language and communicative achievement. 4 things. Now, what content are we going to need for an essay? It really depends on the question. The question will specifically tell us what we need to include. It will give us 2 points that we need to include, and it will tell us to come up with our own idea. You are all capable of having your own ideas, so I don't want to see your own idea take any less precedent or less space than the ideas they've given you. Okay, try and keep it balanced. That takes us into organisation. In terms of organisation, the easiest way to organise it is introduction, point number 1, in its own paragraph, point number 2, in its own paragraph, point number 3, in its own paragraph, and a conclusion. Okay? This is easy. Just remember to leave the paragraphs, okay? And make a logical progression from one point to the next. Use indicators maybe, like firstly, secondly, also, furthermore, nevertheless, however. On the other hand, we've done this a million times before, okay? Just remember to leave the gaps. Paper is cheap. Your time and your skill is not cheap, okay? So leave a gap and show us how good you've written those different sections, those different paragraphs. What's next? Language. Language will be specific. It will be formal, as we expect for an essay. Yes, so we're going to be using passives. Use conditionals as well, because they're easy. You can do them pretty well and they look fancy. Be careful with tenses, okay? Sometimes when we write an essay, we don't get any time other than the present in there, and that's fine, but we're trying to show off to an examiner or whoever's marking our essay just how good we are at using different times. So as I said, a conditional will let us use different tenses, but when you're giving examples and explanations, try and give examples in the past perfect, in the present perfect. Yes, we can do these things, we can use these things. Give ideas in your conclusion that talk about the future and what is possible, and we can use our different ways of talking about the future for those things, okay? Finally, communicative achievement. This is an essay. This is formal writing. A couple of points to note. 1, this should not be fun. This is an essay. This is an essay, okay? Direct questions, the things we're using in articles are hooks. Yeah, leave all those at home. Don't get those out for this. Just give it to us straight. Give us ideas, give us evidence, give us points. Don't refer to yourself, okay? Please don't write as your introduction, in this essay I will talk about shoes, okay? Just repeat the question back to us. Repeat the point back to us. Shoes are something that are worn by most people every day, but they're not universal to every culture. Different people and different places have developed different relationships with shoes, okay? Give us something like that. And remember, as you go through, you're not giving your opinion. You're providing examples and evidence. What you're sharing is what you strongly believe is the truth. So when it comes to your conclusion, you will conclude, but you will not say, in my opinion. It's not an opinion piece, it's an essay. What you will draw together is all the points you've made to the one logical conclusion, which any rational person would surmise has to be the truth, and that happens to also be your opinion as well. Because you're right, that's the point of writing essays, yes? Yeah. Okay, if you have a look at page 89, there we go, we have an essay about employment. That's what he was told to write about. You can see his spider diagram at the top, where they've thought about some ideas. So they thought employment, so what do you need? First of all, you need a CV, a curriculum vitae, which kind of lists what you've done. Americans will have a resume, it's slightly different, but kind of exactly the same sort of thing. A job application, which you'll have to make. When you guys leave university, you'll make a lot of these. Don't get disheartened. Interviews, if you're lucky enough to get to an interview, what's that like? What kind of questions might they ask? Work experience. What can you do to get experience? You can get qualifications. Experience is also really valuable. How can young people get work experience? Is this something that you can just do through school? Is there intern programs or things like that? Summer programs you can use to get useful experience? And other training courses. Are there other things that you could get apart from school qualifications, Cambridge certificates, that could be really beneficial to you in your search for employment, getting jobs? Okay, I'm going to pause the video. You have a read through of the essay and you just answer me this. Is the essay that he's written actually about employment, or is it about education? Pause the video, read the essay, and we'll come back and discuss that. Answer? He started off with employment, but he got kind of carried away in education. Can't really blame him too much, but not ideal, okay? So try and stick to the point. You can see where he got kind of muddled up. You can also see the structure of his essay. He has 1-2 paragraphs and a conclusion. What the heck? That's organized as well as my sock drawer, okay? We can do better than that. If you have a look at page 89, we have the opportunity to do better than that. And this is the work I want you to complete, take a photo of, or if you've typed it, you can email it to me directly. But this is what I want you to write. Many environmental problems could get worse in the future. Do you agree? Don't fall into the trap. Don't say yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree, okay? State the facts. Your opinion will come out through the facts. Trust me. 3 points. Write about population growth, the number of people on Earth, and how that's growing. Pollution. Think not just about air pollution, think about water pollution, think about light and sound pollution, think about chemicals, think about all sorts of things. Single-use plastics are another great example of that. So think about pollution. And thirdly, you need to come up with an idea of your own to write about and a conclusion. And we're looking at 140 to 190 words ish. Don't have to count them exactly. The main thing is that you've covered all the points, okay? Write that. You can either write it in a notebook, take a photo and send it to me over Messenger is best. Instagram if that's easier for you, or on my email, ben@theenglishinstitute.org. If you type it, you can just email it straight to me. It's up to you. And as soon as I get an opportunity, I will have a look at those and send them back to you. Okay, enjoy writing your essays. Contact information is going to come up just now.